The JioStar Brand Spotlight is on my 11 circle.
Welcome to JioStar Brand Spotlight in association with ET Brand Equity. IPL isn't just cricket, it's prime time entertainment, an economic force and a battleground where brands fight for attention as fiercely as the teams on the field. This Tata IPL 2025 season, Jio Brand Spotlight is back for its second season, bringing a prime opportunity for brands to break through the clutter and make an impact during the golden moments of the opening match. One of the brands taking center stage in this initiative is My 11 Circle, the co-presenting partner, and it's a name that's become synonymous with fantasy cricket. Joining me today is Avik Das Kanungo, Associate VP, Brand Marketing Strategy, My 11 Circle. Thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thanks for having me and the brand here.
It's our absolute pleasure, and we're unpacking the campaign, the strategy, and yes, that ad featuring Shubman Gill. Now, Avik, IPL has always been a great showcase for brands. What's the big picture goal behind your Tata IPL 2025 marketing strategy, and how does this tie into My 11 Circle's larger brand vision?
Okay, so our brand's larger vision is to build an identity for the brand that people will really relate to. And it should not be limited to only the usage of the product, but going beyond that, a strong connect with the brand persona that we want to build. And for that, we obviously needed a very strong brand narrative, right, that people can cherish. Speaking of this IPL, what we are trying to do, right, is establish a core concept of circle. Circle being a very integral part of our brand name. And try to give a bigger meaning to this word circle, right, in context to our brand. Now, circle, if you look at it that way, the cricket stadium is a circle, right? There, in social context, it can be a circle of friends, right? And then how do we really, curve out a very creative and fun way to welcome people, right, into this circle or the world of circle that we are building. So, overall, right, the idea is to build that circle, welcome people in to celebrate the sport and their knowledge about the sport, and build something memorable that becomes very strongly associated with our brand identity.
Well, absolutely. It's the world of the circle, and our entire world is also a circle. You think about it. And fantasy cricket as a category is highly competitive with multiple players vying for attention. What was the core brief to the agency, and how did the idea for this campaign take shape?
The brief to the agency was actually very simple, right? We said, how do we make the brand more lovable? How do we create this world around circle? And do that all keeping in mind that we have to do something unique to stand out in the clutter of IPL. Right, and a loud shout out to our creative agency partner, the Script Room, who has worked with our team for a long period of time, got multiple ways to do this on the table till we, till we hit this idea about welcoming people into the circle, and we all liked that, and then. We worked on the actual scripts. We figured out two ways, right, of depicting the circle in context of fantasy sports, right? So in one set of our ads, right, what we are doing is we are saying when a fantasy player, right, is making his team, he's actually welcoming a real cricketer into his circle, right? If you look at it, this cricket is like 11 players in a circle, right? And when he's making the team in My 11 Circle app, it's his team, it's his circle. So he's actually welcoming the real cricketer into his circle, right? And that's where, if you look at those ads, the fantasy player actually says to somebody like a Shubman that welcome to my circle, chap, right? The second part is the manifestation of his knowledge, right? That when he uses his knowledge to win, right? Then the cricketer is actually welcoming the fantasy player into this winning circle, congratulating him, and in the process also, on behalf of the brand, giving out a larger welcome call to all the people, right, to participate in this circle and celebrate the sport, right. and that pretty much, if you look, covers the entire circle, if I can put it in that way, of the fantasy ecosystem, right? So that is what, predominantly how it took shape.
It's a great way for people to participate in the game as well, of course. And your brand has had a strong association with cricket, fantasy and real over the years. What key consumer insights drove your marketing and media approach for this particular Tata IPL 2025 season?
So we do spend and invest a lot of time in research, speaking to our own players, speaking to players outside our ecosystem. I think one of the key insights that came out, right, that different people, right, have very different perceptions or very varied perceptions about the brand, right? And we thought that it's becoming very essential for us to form some sort of a coherent, singular brand narration that can tie, all these perceptions together and help our users and potential users to be strongly associated to a brand identity, right? That was the beginning of how we started thinking or strategizing, right? Another thing that came out very strongly is the spread of the fantasy players, right? Because how do you really address or integrate the choices, the preferences of such a large spread across metro, tier 1, tier 2, smaller towns? And that is also something very consciously we have incorporated in the way we have probably chosen the characters in the ad, the locations of the ad, and so on and so forth, right? Coming to the media strategy, I think one of the major addition, and it was a very well thought through, and thanks to the entire Jio team for working with us to make this happen. In addition to the associate partner of Tata IPL that we started from the last year, there is the on-ground sponsorship. This year, we have become the co-presenting sponsor on JioStar. And we also thought that once we have a brand narration that is pretty strong, we need to tell that story to the world, right? And what better than the high viewership, event like IPL to start doing it. And what better than JioStar to help us do that?
Absolutely. This campaign brings together cricket's rising stars Yashasvi Jaiswal, Shubman Gill and Mohammad Siraj under the theme Circle Mein Aaja. Every great campaign has its behind-the-scenes stories. Any standout moments from ideation to execution?
A lot, actually. I think, first of all, right from the genesis of this idea to giving it a shape, right, has been extremely fun for us, and hence the entire journey has been very memorable for us. More to say, because it involved a lot of collaboration, both internally and externally. But if you have to pick one, right, to give you, right, I'll mention this one because I personally was there on the set. So we were shooting Yashasvi and Shubman together. And Yashasvi had a early call to the shoot. So he had already shot about 2 to 3 scenes, right, before Shubman arrived. And when Shubman arrived on the set, right, Yashasvi actually welcomed Shubman into the set with the brand note of Aaja Mere Circle Mein Aaja. Now, why it was very special for us, because generally these people play together, they know each other so well. People will have their own way to say a hi or to address someone, right? That Yashasvi had only, shot for two, 3, verses of that, right? But he still kind of, sang that song, Aaja Mere Circle Mein Aaja, to welcome Shubman. And at that point of time, we thought that, hey, we have probably built something that is really, really sticky, right? So yeah, I mean, that was a very fond memory.
Super catchy indeed, no pun intended, of course.
Thank you.
And every campaign has its share of surprises. Did you face any unexpected production challenges, and how did your team navigate them?
It was a pretty complex shoot, and that's the fun of production, I guess, with 6 cricketers and so many locations. But I think the key was to plan ahead, think about situations that can go wrong, preempt, and also, right, obviously expect the unexpected, to come in your way, right? But one thing I will say, I'll not get into, probably any specific situation, but a lot of, like hats off to our team and our creative agency partner to actually pull off all the challenges that have come our way. Especially my, heartfelt thanks to our brand ambassadors. They all have been so very accommodating, so patient, that it actually, even if something had happened, right, it made it very easy for the team to sort it out, right? But I'll still give you one incident that, you can term, or I can term, as truly unexpected, right? I think we were shooting in Goregaon Film City, if I'm not wrong, and one of my colleagues, one of my team members, right, was actually bitten by a dog right outside the set right now. That was, if you can ask me, that was like something very unexpected and we didn't have any answer to.
Super
right?
harrowing.
So yeah, I mean, things happen, but we all enjoyed the shoots thoroughly.
Okay. But I hope he is all right now.
He's perfectly all right. He is up and running. He is jumping around the stadiums, making sure our on-ground integrations are in place. So yeah, he's fine.
Okay, so good to know that indeed. And this is a campaign, like you said, that has a great hook. Even Yashasvi Jaiswal caught on to it immediately. But what aspect of this do you think is going to have the strongest chord with the audiences?
I think, to be very honest, right, like it can't be a bigger clutter than in IPL for obvious reasons, because all the brands are vying that space, right? And to stand out, right, few of the elements you are correctly saying that are very important that people can really relate to, or would want to relate to, and love, right? I think this our entire concept of Circle Mein Aaja, the way we have creatively expressed that in the form of a music note, that is again on the back of a very popular and hit Bollywood song of Aaja Mere Gari Mein Baith Ja, and the notes of our ads, right, have been actually sung by the same musician, singer, composer, Mr. Anu Malik, right? He has sang the notes of those ads, right? And I think both combining, the two sets of films that I was talking about, of Aaja Mere Circle Mein Aaja, and then ending with My 11 Circle Mein Aaja to complete the loop, right? I think that has, right, obviously we are saying we are welcoming people into the circle, but as with the example of Yashasvi, right, Circle Mein Aaja, the catchy tune of Circle Mein Aaja will probably have a lot of relevance in other contexts, right? And we think that it might become, a regular sort of tune in people's lives in different contexts, which will be very fun to see happen, right? Apart from that, I think cricketers generally, are not good singers, or we have not seen them sing. Probably they are. But in these sets of ad, right, the cricketers or our brand ambassadors actually kind of, sings Aaja Mere Circle Mein Aaja on camera with, a little tap of their head and, gesture of the hand, which I think is very fresh, and, people will love it visually.
Did it take a fair amount of convincing to make them do that?
Not really. I think, everybody was pretty up for it. Saurav as in Dada was pretty up for it. Shubman, I think, was very natural in doing that. Rinku Singh was fabulous. Rituraj was, great. I think everybody was great. Shiraj was great. He was also quite natural. So yeah, I mean, Yashasvi didn't face any such convincing as such. Everybody was up for that.
Well, you've tapped into the popular quotient and the nostalgic value. So this jingle has everything going for it, indeed. Now, IPL ads often become as talked about as the matches themselves. From a marketer's lens, how does this impact brand recall and engagement?
So, just on your point, right, because IPL is probably a rare occasion, right, where people just don't watch the ads but also discuss them, right? That actually makes the marketeers, right, very desperate to prove the point during IPL so that they can be discussed and be celebrated, right? And I'm not, I'm talking about the brands, the creative agencies, the influencers, everybody, right? Which therefore makes it even more harder to stand out because everybody is giving their best. We think that, or how we approached is that there is, you just cannot sell a proposition, right? You have to have a very strong brand narrative, very creatively built in, that people will actually love to watch, love to care for, and ultimately, act on it, right? And if you can get it right during IPL, I think the upside is huge because IPL is also such a rare event that gives you, this critical mass with high frequency in such a short span of time, right? So for us, IPL is both challenging and a great opportunity, right? Especially because our core product also revolves around cricket, right? So yeah, I mean, it was great. It was great that we have pulled off the campaign. We like the campaign, and hopefully, the audience also like the campaign, and they also come into the circle.
Absolutely, zooming out from the macro to the micro, the very first overs of the very first match of this Tata IPL 2025 season. Now, given the first few overs, especially the first IPL match of this season, the fact that they have peak viewership, how are you leveraging this window for maximum brand visibility and engagement? And what excites you most about that opportunity?
In context of fantasy sports, or in the context of our brand, right? A very important moment for us is the toss, which actually happens half an hour before the match starts, right? Because that is when the actual playing teams are declared, and people start making their teams, right? I think what we have tried to do is that across our on-ground sponsorship with IPL and the co-presenting sponsorship on JioStar, we have tried to capture the attention of viewers right from that moment. We'll, just to give you some details, right at toss, we will have a squeeze up to remind people that, hey, it's time to make your team. Once we are into the pre-show after the toss, there is a segment of, a lineup where again, right, we will talk a little bit about fantasy or making the team. After that, I think billboards or masthead, right, is something that also starts getting a very, very high, proportion of viewership during that period. So we have also ensured that we have a very high share of voice in that inventory during this time. Coming to the first 6-7 overs, yes, very, very high viewership, very important. I think a very high share of voice of mid-rolls, the mid-roll ads, branded cards, and a sponsorship. So we have also taken a sponsorship on Jito Dhan Dhana Dhan. That is also a pretty high visibility property, right, on the screen. So together with this, I think we will be able to garner a lot of eyeball and push the narration that we want to in quick time. And hopefully, people also kind of, reciprocate and start coming into the circle. Apart from this, as during, I think, the 4th or 5th over, we have also put in one of our on-ground integrations, the Circle Champ, that will come on the giant screen. So yeah, I mean, if you look at it that way, we are pretty much decked up to cover this high visibility phase that you are talking about.
Well, I think you've got it pretty covered. No spot unturned there. And Avik, before we wrap it up, if you had to sum up this campaign in one line, what's one thing you'd want audiences to take away from this ad?
Aaja mere circle mein aaja, aaja mere circle mein aaja.
Okay. I would love to sing it with you, but I am not a good singer. I don't want to torture our viewers with that. And you are. No, you are absolutely a great singer. It was absolutely great speaking to you as well. Avik, thank you so much for taking us through this journey. My 11 Circle has once again captured the thrill of fantasy cricket in a way that speaks to every fan out there. Here's to an exciting Tata IPL 2025 season ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you again, and thank you so much for watching Jio Hotstar Brand Spotlight in association with Brand Equity. And remember to catch our other episodes to find out more fun behind the scenes moments of all your favorite ads.
That was the Jio Hotstar Brand Spotlight on My 11 Circle.